Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. I'm Paul McCarthy, and today I'm joined by Stuart Rayner from H&H Maintenance Limited. Stuart, it's really good to have you with us today. Could you just start off by telling us about your business, a bit of background behind it?
Yes, hello. H&H Maintenance was established in and around 2010, but wasn't limited until 2017. Um, there is a reason for that. Take you back a little bit. I was just a little handyman running around a little van, doing a bit of tiling here, bit of this and a bit of that, and just living my life as a handyman does. Really, had no sort of wishes to be any more than that. Just pay my taxes and just crack on. Really, and painting and decorating was my main sort of forte, if you like. But I learned on the way through bits and pieces what to do. So that's where we started. That's it really. Did you want any more on that, or was it?
No. What's it become? I suppose. What is H&H Maintenance now?
Okay, personally, I was in the forces. So I spent 5.5 years and 6 years in the forces. Come out of there, didn't know what to do. A friend of mine offered me a scaffolding job, so I learned on the tools of being a scaffolder. So I was on site quite a lot. I didn't like the site so much. I didn't like the sort of the way it was pitched, like hierarchy, and there's a lot of bullying. There was a lot of, well, I say bullying, just Mickey taking, if you like, which is fine. I can take it as good as the rest of them, but I didn't like that way of being about. So that's why I sort of branched off to do my own little bit in the handyman side. But it was only then when we lost our daughter to depression, that it didn't kickstart me, because obviously I went into my own depression and what have you. But it was my wife one day said, "I can't do this no more. You need to get up and do something, because you just moping around the house, it's just not good." So on the back of that, we purchased a couple of little properties, and we just done them up between ourselves. And it was never about money. It was just something to do, really, get me out of the house. And I never looked at it as though, oh, we're going to make that amount of money, or we can use it. It was just really going every day into this building, my own building site, and just doing my own little bits. But off the back of that, I realised that there was something else that I could be doing. So I sort of looked at it and said, well, where do I want to go? What do I want to do? It quickly dawned on me that I didn't want to do domestic. I wanted to do commercial.
Right.
And I really don't know where that come from, but I am so pleased I did, because it, for me, it's just a lot easier. You don't have Mrs. Smith standing there going, "Oh, you missed a bit." You deal with people that are at work, and that's their work. So it's for me, it's just easier. And saying that, it was, well, one of the best things, really, because of lockdown. I had a really nice key account from Virgin Media.
Right.
And I was looking after all their buildings. So in an area, a big area, but and of course they were still, although it was skeleton staff, they still had maintenance issues. So I didn't really get sort of held up at all with any of the COVID problems. In fact, we did give our time to the NHS, and we'd done some of their outbuildings and turned them into accommodation, which none of them used. So, but we did sort of help out as much as we could. So, yeah, that's really where we are now today.
So is it now? Are you not so hands on anymore? Are you generally running the business? How does that
well,
work?
well, you've jumped now to question number 10. Because well, sort of I'm still on the tools, and I was
Yeah,
on the tools today. But I really want to sort of come away from it.
yeah,
Last year my son-in-law joined the firm, and it quickly dawned on me that he's a key guy. You know, he knows what he wants. And to be honest, I've had a good run, I've had a good wage out of it, but I was sort of 60. You know, I'm just going to ease off a little bit. I'm just going to
yeah.
do the little bits and pieces that I want to do. I still want to do little bits, but he come on and he sort of like injected a bit of life in me, and I sort of I like that. And we've worked really well together. And he's a good guy. He's in fact fishing today,
Right,
so he has his time off, but he come with a wealth of experience from the student accommodation,
right,
um, and that's what we tapped into quite a lot. In fact, that's one of our main earners, really, student accommodation, painting and decorating, and bits and pieces, new bathrooms and stuff. Um, and again, you're left alone to do what you need to do as long as you do the job right
yeah,
and you get it signed off properly. You are basically left alone. You know, the rooms are empty. You get in, you do your business, and then you go. So, and I like that side of the building game. It's a lot more relaxed, and you know, you can do what you need to do. Um, so that's where we are really.
And do you have people within the company as well? Obviously, it's yourself and the son-in-law. Is there?
Yeah, my daughter does all the accounts. She does all the
Yeah,
invoicing and quotations. So she helps out on that side of it. Um, in fact, my youngest daughter, we've just been talking about doing some more leads for us.
right.
So she'll be jumping on and doing getting a percentage for any leads that she brings in. So it's a proper family affair, you know.
Brilliant. That's great.
Yeah.
And you talked about why you started the business at the very beginning. Was that you just fell into it? You said you were working on sites. Obviously, when you came
Mm,
out of the military,
mm.
was it a conscious decision at that point?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely didn't like the building side of it, the
Right.
building
Okay.
site
Yeah.
game. I said to my wife once, you know, I've had my egos in the forces.
Yeah.
I used to box quite a lot, um, and 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 to be quite honest, I stopped drinking 10 years ago. Um, but also whilst I was drinking, and I was a functioning alcoholic, to be honest, and I haven't drank now for 10 years, as I say. So, touch wood, I stay on top of it. But I think I needed to drink to get my ego and be the
Right.
bravado.
Yeah.
Scaffolding's another game that you just fall into that, you know, horrible ways, you
Yeah.
know, boasting, big-headed, and it's horrible, and I don't like it. So I thought it was definitely a conscious effort to do it myself and go off and be the little handyman that I wanted to be, and it was great for a time. Um, yeah, well, it was great at a time, but I honestly, what from where we were to where we are now, I wouldn't change a thing. I
Yeah.
wouldn't change a thing, and I think I remember when I left school before I joined the forces, I worked for a guy just as a labourer, and he made me sweep up. And when I say he made me sweep up, this place was spotless before, and like the lady come out and she was like, "Well, you didn't have to go that mad." And I was on my hands and knees. But that's all good stead.
Yeah.
That taught me, when I leave this place, it needs to be immaculate. It needs to be better than what it looked before.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to touch on as well, a bit later on, is where you know, one of my key, and I say this to all my guys, you know, I don't care what your day is like, has been, you leave that place spotless.
Yeah.
There's no excuse.
Right.
No excuse at all. Because if you can't do it, you can tell someone else to do it, or you can ask someone else to do it. That place needs to be left spotless. If you've got an emergency, that's fine. You go and do your emergency, but there'll be someone else there that can help out and just make that place good. Because I'm a great, you know, feedback and getting people to say, "Oh, well done, H&H, you've done a great job." For me, that's everything.
So that's why you're different, would you say? Do you say you're
I think so.
average? Yeah.
I think so. And I tell you what, else as well, Paul, is no matter how difficult the phone call is to take,
Yeah.
if you've messed up or you've done anything like that, take the call.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing worse than because there's always a knock-on effect. You know, I say this to my guys as well, and it's a Bible of mine. Quotation doesn't need to be a long drawn out scenario. I know we're all busy, but we're in the game to if you like, make money, but they need that quotation. I've always, because when I go out and I ask for a local Sparky to do some business for me, it might take 4 days, 5 days, 6 days to get the quote back. And I'm like, well, I can't put the quote in. He's asking for the quote. I can't put it in because I've got the plumber's bit. I've got my bit, but I need that bit to make the quote. And I can't because he's not bothered to send me. So frustrating.
Yeah.
So whenever we go out and do a quote, I always, within 24 hours, maybe a little bit, 24 hours-ish, I get that quote back out to them.
Right. Fantastic. So,
yeah.
Customer service is really key.
Customer service for me, and feedback is the key, 100%.
It's like
because yeah, absolutely. You can have all the advertising in the world, but until someone says to you, "Do you know what? That Stuart Rayner H&H, what a job he done."
Yeah.
That's it. You've done it.
Absolutely.
You've made it, because you buy off recommendations for me.
Yeah. And it's interesting what you said about bad feedback as well, because most people are sort of terrified of bad feedback, but that's the only way you improve sometimes. So avoid that bad feedback, but you should embrace it and just go, right, okay, what are we doing wrong? How could we improve? So that's great that you do that. Just talk about people. So has there been any particular person that's inspired you during your sort of journey, your business?
Yeah, definitely. My youngest, Becky, who's a qualified teacher who works for the charity now that we set up after losing Lucy. 32, I think she is. I didn't get that wrong.
Right.
But she said to me one day when I was in my deepest depression, she said, "You can always look back, but why don't you try and look forward?" And that stayed with me for a while. I was sort of like, yeah. But really, I could have tumbled and got divorced and been on the embankment, but drinking and all the rest of it. But really, I wanted to try and make something out of that. And for me, looking at my youngest daughter, the way she operated, what's the word I'm after, conducted herself through losing her sister, was up there with amazing people that I've got around me to get me to where I am now. And that is simply that.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because you associate being wise with being older.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to be old to be wise. It's really interesting, isn't it?
That's so true. So true, mate.
Incredible. And what's been your biggest learning since running business, especially sort of over recent years as you sort of really grow in the business?
Mm. I'm going to look at my notes now because I was drifting off then into deep thought. What's
Sorry.
my biggest learning? I tell you what, my biggest learning is, mate, getting rid of the ego.
Right. Okay.
Get rid of the ego. It's not about you. It's not about your struggles. It's about making something of nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, that's it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I can't think. I've got down here just jotting down a few notes. I've got ego. Get rid of it.
Ah, it's great. It's a
Self-importance.
great thought, isn't it? You know, it's sometimes it
Yeah.
gets in our way, our ego. Sometimes it helps us. Sometimes
Yeah.
it does get in our way,
Definitely.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you need a bit of ego.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've met quite a few people that have got big egos, and I don't like them.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And you did talk about COVID and how the company changed in that time.
Yeah.
Has there been any other sort of challenges? You said it was a bit of a launch pad in a way for the business at that time. So, uh, did you go for any sort of struggles or any sort of challenges and ways that you had to change the business during that period?
Um, Not really. Not really. Just going commercial for me.
Right. Okay.
Um, I know there's a lot of people do commercial and domestic. I know a lot of domestic guys that they love it. They're doing extensions and stuff, and it's great. Um, but I just think with the current climate as well, it just makes it a little bit easier.
Right.
Um, the I'm on checker trade and stuff, and I don't never get many. I do quotes, but don't really land well. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong really in the domestic world. I mean, I
Right.
do domestic, but I'd much rather stay with the commercial, to be honest. It's for me, it's the niche between um, the facility companies
Yeah.
and the client. So the big facility companies don't want to worry about paint and decorating. They don't really want to worry about the little bits and pieces. And that's where my key is. Um, they'll get the big boys to do all the rewiring and all the rest of it. That's great. But
Yeah.
there is definitely a niche in the market for someone who's willing to step into that void, if you like.
And something I should have touched on a bit earlier. Well, what sort of areas do you cover in sort of geography?
Well, the whole of London.
Right. Okay.
We do Poole, Bournemouth. We do the whole of Kent, so the southeast really,
Right.
including
Quite
London.
a big area then.
Yeah, we did Milton Keynes. Um, there is a few bits and pieces that we're going to be doing in Leicester up that way, but really sort of Surrey, the southeast that way
Yeah.
is our niche. But wherever the work is, mate, it's not. I'm not closing the doors to anybody that wants to take on. We do a lot where a lot of work we found from, and this was my son-in-law bringing it in as well. The fire door guys. So they'll rip out the fire doors in a massive, great big office. They might do 200, 300, but they don't want to do the messy bit behind it. They don't want to tidy up the plasterboard that they've ripped out. So we go in and do that. They're not interested in that little bit. They've got their bunces from ripping out the fire doors. And believe me, there's some money in fire doors. Signing off fire doors. Wow. So and we do that, which again is another little niche that we found,
Yeah.
So there's loads of little nuggets out there. It's just finding them, really.
Absolutely. And future. So, what do you see the challenges for your sort of business, your industry over the next 5 years?
Next 5 years, mate, 100% is employment,
Right. Okay. Yeah.
without a doubt.
Right.
Without a doubt. You find me a decent guy that's working, that's not working,
Yeah.
and there's a reason why he's not working.
Yeah.
and keeping the good guys is a challenge,
Right.
because as soon as they, you know, they want to branch off and do what they want to do, which is great because that's what we all do.
Yeah.
But the challenge is keeping them
Yeah.
within the budgets that you've got to keep, because obviously, you know, the offices, the yard, the vans, the accreditation, the insurances, they're all, you know, they're all outgoings.
Yeah.
And when you say to the guys, you know, you're on £600, £700 a week here, mate, you you look at it, and some of them are on more, you know.
Yeah.
But it is a challenge. It's definitely going to be employment.
And that's been exacerbated by Brexit, I guess, as well,
Oh,
in your industry.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
not seeing, because they're trying to relax it a bit, aren't they? But it's very much skilled sort of labor.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's tough. It's
Yeah.
tough. As it is at the moment, we're okay, but I can see a couple spreading their wings, and then I've got to replace them.
Right.
And it's finding them that, yeah, it's tough,
Yeah.
but I'm sure we'll get there.
And on the more positive side, what about your aspirations for the business over the next 5 years?
So bringing in a general manager to work with my son-in-law
Yeah.
is one of them. Me stepping down, and we've just purchased, as I say, 14 acres of land. We want to build a wellbeing centre for the charity.
Brilliant.
I want all my energies to be put into that. Really, that's my end game. It sounds like I'm being put out the pasture, but
Well, it doesn't. It sounds like you're being put out to do something else. Something else
yeah, exactly. No,
you're more passionate about.
I really want to have well, not a commercial kitchen, but I want to grow organically,
Yeah.
and I really would like to do that. But this is going to be a stepping stone for me, because obviously I'm a director of the company, so I'm still going to have my not day-to-day running basically, but maybe 3 days a week. But I will be coming off the tools within the next year, he says.
Yeah.
I do
That's
enjoy it though. I do
fantastic.
enjoy it. I enjoy
Yeah.
it until I'm actually doing it, and when I'm doing it, I don't want to do it.
Grass
But
is always
I
green.
do enjoy it. I do enjoy it.
Okay. Um, and I know you said it's sort of no regrets and things like that, but if you could have done something differently, if you could start again, what would it be?
What did I say for this? Um, yes. So it is at the beginning, ask more questions,
Right.
take more advice.
Yeah.
When you do your invoicing, your quoting, put in everything. I, I've honestly, I've got a template now, which is great. Well, my daughter's got a template now, but I've been caught out so many times by not putting everything in the quote.
Yeah.
So everything goes in the quote,
Right.
everything over and above everything. But just the finer details. Always ask questions, and take more advice than you need.
Yeah.
Because and again, that's what I was talking about so much with the ego. You know, someone have a van, and they'll be running around, and they don't want to listen to me. They don't want to listen to you. They don't want to take advice. They're out. No, stop. Think about it. Take a bit of advice. Honestly, it's the best thing ever.
Yeah. I was
And
remember.
coaching, you honestly, we done some coaching maybe a year ago. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Just makes you stop and think where you are,
Yeah.
where do you want to be? And it's the question that you would know. Paul would ask me, where do you want to be in 5 years' time? What do you want to do in 5 years' time? How am I going to do that? And have that goal, but don't beat yourself up if you don't meet that goal.
Yeah.
Because somewhere along the line, there'll be some key elements and there'll be some good parts about that goal. Let's say I've done it in a year's time. There'll be something within that year that you can hold on to and go, do you know what? That was good.
Yeah.
That was good. That was good. That was good. Take them out and then look at the bad stuff. And as you said, sometimes when you get a negative review, you got to look at that and you got to say to yourself, why did I get a negative? Was it my tidiness? Was it my timings? They're all important keys to make it a success.
Yeah. There's something interesting you said there about look at the good things as well. So many people are so busy doing other stuff, they don't sort of take us go, actually, we've done pretty good here. We've done all right. You know,
Yeah,
let's
exactly.
congratulate ourselves.
Exactly.
So, yeah,
Exactly.
do look at those good
and
things.
One other thing as well for me is, and I know it's quite hard. I said to my daughter the other day, it's not all about money. I know you need money. You do need money. You need money for your advertising. You need money for all. And it is, there's a big key element of money. But I think my main growth was when I didn't really think about money. I think people get so embroidered on, I need to earn that to get that. And I think sometimes just letting that go a little bit. I know it might sound a bit woo and out there, but just relaxing a little bit and just saying, because look, what happened to me in 2010 shook my world. And we got through it. And we got through it because we're a tight family and we work hard and we just do what we do. But I think my main growth was not chasing the dollar. Really was.
Brilliant. And going back probably 4 or 5 years, so back to your 18-year-old self, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
Calm down. Calm down. Calm down. What would I give him? What would I give him? Yeah, ask questions. Ask more questions.
Yeah.
Ask more questions. And I think, to be honest, having someone like you asking me questions, training back then when I finished scaffolding, I would have got here maybe quicker.
Yeah.
Because I didn't see the main goals, which maybe I could have done back then.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So I'm not trying to do your job, but in coaching, you'll look at the different elements that I'm good at.
Yeah.
Fill in the gaps, the bits that I'm not good at. I never sat with you 30 years ago. I don't even think coaching was about that. It must have been about, but not for guys like me.
It's fairly new. Yeah, it's the last 25 years. I think
Maybe your Alan Sugar might have had a bit of coaching.
Yeah.
But for me, the guy on the street with a little van, coaching, what are you talking about? But training and learning. Spreadsheets. What the hell were they back then? I think spreadsheets were about to get a mortgage. That was it. And you employed someone to do that. But no one sat down and worked out spreadsheets and this is where you need to go and this is your earnings. Do you know, you've done it in the pub at night after a day's graft.
Yeah.
But there is so many other elements to this mad world that we're in now that you can tap into that I think is important.
Brilliant. And just lastly, any new projects you're working on? Obviously, you've mentioned the charity. I mean, you've got to talk a little bit more about that, just to let people know.
Yeah, the Lucy Rayner Foundation, as I say, was born from my daughter Lucy, who took her life. We are just embarking on a wellbeing centre. So fingers crossed we get the planning application that we want. but we're looking at 1.5 million. I think we're going to be doing it. That's the sort of the build cost we're looking at. So if there's anybody out there that would like to help us, you can buy a brick, which is a great idea. It's from friends of ours who've got a cancer charity in Newcastle, and they basically built a house, and everybody in the community bought a brick. And because you bought a brick, you would be on the plaque at the front of the house. And it was a great idea. The only difference is Newcastle, you can buy a house for like 60, or you can build a house, maybe a bit of land for 60, 70K. You can't buy a garage down here for that. So there is a little bit of difference in costings, but the challenge is there for us. So we've embarked on it, and we're going to finish it. Don't worry about that. So we're going to have a well-being centre for the mental health side. So it's going to be all organic, and we're going to go for it.
Brilliant. I guess, just not putting words in your mouth, but I'm sure that's become more and more of a bigger thing during sort of COVID and that side of things. A lot of people's mental health has been massively hit, hasn't it? So amazing what
funding's gone down as well.
Yeah.
Because of the current climate, we've for 11 years we had no waiting list. So anybody from the age of 14 to 39 could come along and they would get counselling within 12 hours. You'd have a counsellor at your door, if not on Zoom. But we've had to put in a 2-week waiting list, which really, when you look at it and you try to go down the NHS route, or you go to Cruise or one of the big charities, there's a waiting list of at least 6 months. So we are doing stuff, but it is a challenge to get the funding, because all of that is,
So how can people get hold of you?
www.thelucyraynerfoundation.com.
Brilliant. And if people want to get hold of you about your maintenance side, the H&H maintenance business,
www.h&h maintenance, and it's HANDH maintenance.com. And the H&H is my 2 grandsons, Harvey and Hayden.
Right. That's what I wonder.
So it's a bit of a mouthful. And I understand when people say to me, is it the squiggly and, or is it the AND? Well, on the computer, it's the AND.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. Stuart, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. Thanks for giving us time for this, and all the best for the future with both your business and with the charity, especially. Really hope that works out and you can put more time into it going forward.
Thank you, mate.
Thanks a lot.
Been a pleasure.